Timu, who is the official bling sponsor. The women of Project Ricochet. Hello, everyone. I'm Renee Collins-Cobb, and I'm a committee member for WUKY's Women of Distinction Initiative, and along with Dr. Abini El-Amin, who is a woman of distinction herself.
Yeah.
It's my pleasure to host WUKY's NPR podcast, The Ricochet Effect, and it's a distinct honor to be asked to introduce a woman of distinction who serves Central Kentucky in so many powerful and inspirational ways, Marilyn Clark. I just want to say that as we interviewed Marilyn during the podcast, two quotes came to mind, and I think we even talked about these quotes during your interview. But one was, as I listened to Marilyn's story, it was from T.S. Eliot, who said, "We must never cease from exploration. And at the end of all of our exploring, we will arrive at the place where we began, and we will know it for the first time." I love that. Also, which came to mind was, when talking to Marilyn, was it's not the big trees that you cut down along your career. It is the small seeds that you plant along the way. And I think you exemplify that in so many ways, Marilyn. Marilyn serves as Economic Inclusion Manager for the University of Kentucky, where she works across the enterprise to increase spending with diverse suppliers. She works closely with the procurement team, project managers, and departments to introduce minority, women, veterans, disabled, and LGBTQ-owned businesses into the UK supply chain. In addition, Ms. Clark leads the Equitable Economic Development Committee, a subcommittee of University of Kentucky's Economic Development Collaborative. And prior to joining the University of Kentucky in January of 2021 in a post-pandemic world, Marilyn worked in supplier diversity at the Lexington Fayette Urban County Government and Fayette County Schools. She is the former vice president and station manager for WLEX-TV, the NBC affiliate in Lexington, and worked in television management in Dallas, Philadelphia, and Birmingham prior to moving to Lexington. Marilyn was recently appointed to the Fayette County Public Schools Board of Education in District 1. Ladies and gentlemen, please join me in welcoming and honoring 2024 Woman of Distinction, Marilyn Clark.
So I want to do that again. That was a ball. I also want to thank Brian Lane. You know, he's been here, a fresh whole month. And this is what, he walks into, and this is wonderful. And we hope that you feel welcomed here in Lexington. And to all the other women who were nominated, awesome. I cannot wait to meet you all and collaborate with you all, because I think we can burn up the world. So I like this definition of a woman of distinction, a woman that embodies resilience, gracefully overcoming challenges to uplift those that are around us. Each year, the National Women's History Alliance designates a yearly theme for Women's History Month. The theme for 2024 recognizes women who advocate for equity, diversity, and inclusion, which is very timely. Civil rights and women's rights have run side by side with a common struggle for equality. On August 28, 1963, Dr. King delivered his famous "I Have a Dream" speech. But during that speech, he used the phrase, "the fierce urgency of now." He said, and I quote, "We are now faced with the fact that tomorrow is today. We are confronted with the fierce urgency of now. In this unfolding conundrum of life and history, there is such a thing as being too late." So this is no time for apathy or complacency. This is a time for vigorous and positive action. So I want to talk to you just about three things very quickly: is education as an equalizer, entrepreneurship as an elevator, and empowering our communities. My father was a very quiet, laid-back kind of person. I kind of inherited his personality, but he was not a weak person. He was an explorer, he was adventurous, and he was a risk taker. So in his 20s, he left the comfort of his home in East Texas, took a job in West Texas, and brought his wife and 2 kids, left them there. He got to Odessa, he found a job as a gas station attendant, and one day he sent for my mom, got a place and all this stuff. Well, right before they got there, the guy walked in and said, you know, we're not going to be able to keep you. We are going to have to let you go. Then my father looked him in the eye and he said, no, you're not going to let me go. You're going to have to let somebody else go. I've sent for my family. I'm set here. And so he just said, okay, Tom, somebody else is going to have to go. And he let somebody else go, and my father stayed with him for many, many years. That was one thing that he did to change my today. He left where he was and sought new opportunities. The other thing that he did is he cashed in on his GI Bill. And we moved into a neighborhood. We were the first to integrate that neighborhood. My older brothers and sisters were the first to integrate a school. They were walked to school every day by allies that took care of us. And so those 2 things that my father and my mother did way back then set up where I am today. And I'm so grateful for that, because they knew that education was an equalizer. They knew that education would take us far. And we delivered. All of us finished school in a couple of 2 or 3 degrees. So my question to you is, what actions will you take today to open the doors for others?
Yeah.
What action will you take to open the doors for yourself?
Yeah.
I know Angela went back to school. That was really bold. Well, I dropped my son off at WUKY on a Tuesday. I got in, Rose class over at Got in Business, and I started school on a Friday. And every Friday and Saturday for 2 years, I went back to school to get my MBA. So it's not just our students who need to be encouraged, other women need to be encouraged as well. Education is a great equalizer. It will lift us from one generation to another, and the effects are long form. So entrepreneurship is an elevator. I am a proud business owner, so when I work with businesses, I can relate to exactly what they're going through. The struggle is real. When you own a business, the struggle is real, so I can relate to what my businesses are going through. A lot of our problems in society are from the lack of financial resources. So we talk about social determinants of health, and what is that? There's all these things that we need to be healthy. We need stable housing, we need good income, we need good food, healthy food, we need transportation, we need health care, and then we need access to good education. Because all of those things work together in tandem. And all of us in this room are playing a role in some of those determinants of health that make our community a healthy place. So when any of those are in jeopardy, all of us are in jeopardy. Students in K-12 have food insecurities. They need clothing. They need health care. But guess what? Students at WUKY and KCTCS and all those places need that as well. When I walk into my office, there's a box. As I walk into the Peterson building, and it's a box to collect clothes for students. And so there I am thinking about those students in the K-12, because it's all interdependent. Planting a seed of entrepreneurship is a really, really good thing for us to do in the community. Today I had the opportunity to meet students from rural counties that were in 4-H. They all had businesses. They had seed money. They understood their finances. They could get up and talk about it. And they were 9 years old. 9 years old. And so entrepreneurial thinking is about problem solving. It is about creativity and innovation. One young man had $2,000 in the bank when he had made his money. So it was just so impressive in what that can do to open up the mind of anyone. I believe that everyone should own a business. I really believe that women in particular, having a second income is something that is critical. And thinking about going into fields that are not typically for women. Construction, manufacturing, logistics, transportation, healthcare. Those are all the things that the state needs as well. You can do that. You can do it. There's a process to everything. And lastly, I want to talk about empowering our communities. I love Marion Wright Edelman. She's a lawyer, a civil rights activist, and she founded the Children's Defense Fund in 1973. And she wrote a book in 1992 called The Measure of Our Success. It was a letter to her children and to ours. And I love this book. It is transformational reading. I'm going to start giving it to students when they graduate. Every year we have a graduation in our family. We have a scholarship set up. And but it talks about all these nuggets of truth. And one that I'll share with you is, don't feel entitled to anything you didn't sweat and struggle for. Service is the rent we pay for being here. That is the rent we pay for being here. It is expected. We all have unpaid rent that we owe to our communities. Ms. Edelman dedicated her life to those who cannot lift themselves, and we have that same challenge today. She also shared this: if you don't like the way the world is, you change it. You have an obligation to change it. You just do it one step at a time. So there is a fierce urgency of now for all of us. Look around, see what needs to be done, and just do it. Thank you.